Hi everyone, I hope you're all very well and you had another productive day today. So I've come on live today because as I come every Wednesday, nowadays I come every Wednesday live to do my live here in the evenings. So today I wanted to talk about this topic, which I thought will be very useful for people who are just starting out in their rent-to-rent business, or people who are thinking about starting their rent-to-rent journey. So when I look back, I always say I've done loads of costly mistakes when I started my journey, and this is just reflection of how I feel. I'm not saying that all the things that I will talk about are 100% correct, but when I look back and in my viewpoint, I feel that those are the mistakes that I did, and I wish I had known about them. Oh, thank you for so many likes. Thank you, Ian. Thanks for coming on board. Thanks, Richard. Thank you, Lucky. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming on board. Yeah, so today I'm going to talk about all the mistakes that I actually did, and I really want to save people from doing those mistakes, because I wish somebody could tell me about those things. I always say I did loads of costly mistakes. So, when I'm saying costly mistakes, I'm talking about getting wrong tenants for my properties, not giving them right documents. I didn't know what documents I needed to ask from the landlord. I didn't know what I needed to look into the contract when I'm signing my contract with the landlord. But, now I've learned, and because with the experience, because I got bitten and I ended up with naughty tenants, so I learned hard way. So these were some costly mistakes I did, and I then put things in place, so then became more clever in doing my business. But other than those, there were still some mistakes that I did, or I was very naive when I started about 3.5 years ago. So I thought I'm going to today talk about those mistakes. So if anybody is looking to start their rent-to-rent journey, they can, if it can help them, it'll be brilliant. So first one, I just want to talk about when people, they do these courses, and they have this this image, or they always get told, and even I was told that I needed to build my own website if I want to get into rent-to-rent business. Now when I do understand, when I look back, and I'm just going to talk about my own experience, when people they are starting out in their rent-to-rent journey, first of all, the reason they are starting out in rent-to-rent is because it's a low investment strategy. So obviously cash is an issue, otherwise they would be doing different strategy within properties. But this is the strategy they've chosen because looking at their own circumstances, they feel that this will work best for them. And then you are told when you're doing courses, even I did, that you need to build your website. And I remember the mistake that I did. I just wanted my website to be perfect. I paid so much attention to what I need to write, what type of pictures I need to pick, how many pages should I have on my website, on my website. And I was really putting too much emphasis on all that, and I even paid to get my website optimized as well. So I paid for extra for that as well. So I spent nearly £1,000 not to get my fancy website built, but also to get it optimized, which you call SEO, because I'm not a technical person, but I just had this, I was told, and I think I had that thing in my head that oh no, I have to look professional, and because I need to look professional, I have to have this perfect looking website. But when I look back, it's hilarious. Because there was really no point of spending so much money. I wasted money on that, and I was looking for, and I was so picky about picking right person to build my website. So my advice would be that if you are someone who's looking to start your rent-to-rent business, and I totally understand that everybody wants to have this digital presence, and people want to Hi Jack, thanks for coming on board. Yeah, so people have this, I wouldn't say obsession, but people do understand that they need to have this, digital presence. But when I look back, once I started my journey, nobody really wanted to look at my website. I mean, when you find a proper motivated landlord, they don't really care what type of website you have. And when I look back, not a single landlord ever asked me to show my website to them, and on the basis of my website they decide. It has never happened to me where they made that decision on the basis of my website. So if you are someone who's thinking about building your website just because you want to start your rent-to-rent business, do not go over the top. That would be my advice, and I say that to even in my mentoring group as well. I tell everybody, and it's surprising how many mentees of mine, they've got deals, they are really getting on with their property business, they've started off and they haven't really got website, and they've been very sensible because I made that mistake. So they are not now, I'm just telling them to be cautious. Do not go over the top. If you are a technical person, then it's a different matter. If you enjoy building websites and you have technical skills, then definitely by all means build your website and make it look nice, because obviously it's something that you enjoy doing. But I definitely would not recommend anybody to go out of the way to spend too much money just to get your website built. Nobody really, if you find a proper motivated landlord who's looking for help, he's not going to make his decision on the basis of your website, because when they are motivated, they just need someone because they are in difficulty and they need someone who can help them out. And this is how it has happened. Most of my landlords, when I took my rent-to-rent properties, they lived abroad or they lived outside, and that was the reason they were happy to hand over the property, because they just simply wanted to have passive income. So they didn't, and couple of my landlords, they were like retired, so they were elderly, so they didn't really want to look at my website. They were not really interested, so that was another reason. So please don't go out of the way to build your website. That's my mistake I did, because another thing is, when you are even when you get your properties, you never really, okay, people say you can advertise on your own property, but I mean, there are so many other websites out there where, people advertise their rooms, like spare rooms, open rent, and so many other, Zoopla, Rightmove. Why would somebody come to your website to find a room? People don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, because I totally understand that, you want to create your website, but when people are looking for room, they're going to obviously look on those websites which are famous for these things, which are famous for providing service for, for this for rooms, so obviously people are going to look on web spare rooms or those type of, and you are going to advertise your rooms there, because you also want to get your rooms let as soon as possible once your property is set. So when I look back, I never ever used my website, I never, because once my business picked up, once I got my first property, then it was just a snowball effect. Every month I picked new property, because by then I had built this relationship with the agency. I had built this good relationship, one of the landlords as well, so I had my links, and they didn't really care, because by then they had tested me. They knew that I was, looking after their property fine, and they were okay with the way I was managing, and the rent was getting paid. So really, if I look back, I mean, I've never ever used my website for my business, so please do not go over the top with, because I definitely wasted my money on it. That's one advice I would say. Obviously, when you get to very big and when your business is really expanding, then you can obviously build your website. It's like now I'm building my website, because the old website, it just happens, it's part of your growth. So I'm just now getting another website built, because I want my website to have different look. Now I know what colors and what content I want there. So definitely, when you're just starting out, keep your focus just on finding your properties, because that should be your aim. Don't waste your too much energy and too much money. You rather have that money put into properties and start and expand your business. So that's one thing I want to say, that do not overspend and do not overthink about these things, because you can always make yourself perfect, later on. So don't worry about it. Your aim at the moment is to make a start. Second thing, people think too much about creating their logo. I find people and thinking about different color combinations about, for their website or their when they're creating the brand and all that. I mean, I totally understand, and I am like that as well. But initially, I remember I was really very fussy about what color I need to choose. I wanted to see what was in, what colors were in fashion, and what were the trendy colors, and I wasted so much time just to think about it. Then I had to pick style, and then I had to pick someone, a graphic designer, who would design my a logo for me with the right color combination. And even then I was just being so picky, and I took really long time. So don't waste your time. Honestly, you really don't need to go over the top. Build yourself. If you can create logo, you can create logos. Just be practical about these things, because I have wasted money initially. Hi, sorry, I lost my connection there. So yeah, so this is something, I wasted my money on. So definitely I would say that, do not waste your money on it. And more than that, do not waste your energy on it, because once you have learned the strategy, you have got that momentum, you're really raring to go. So don't waste your energy, all that energy that you've got now on, these things, because these things can develop later. So do something quickly, so you can actually get on with the actual strategy. You can get on with finding your properties. You rather learn about the strategy, you rather learn about the area, you rather gain all that knowledge and put all that focus, all that energy into that, rather than doing all these things. Because I personally now feel that it just defocuses you. So there is no need for all that. You can perfect yourself. You can always change things as your business progresses, because at the moment, the way I now look at it, your focus should be getting your first property, learning the strategy, and getting on with it. Another thing I find, that some people, they have this thing, okay, they want to look professional, then they will then arrange like a photo shoot, by professional photographer. I mean, I understand there is nothing wrong with it again, but if you are working on a tight budget, so then just be practical about it, because you are wasting so much time, because you feel that you need to have your professional photo taken for your website or for your logo, or you want that professional image. But nowadays cameras are so smart, you don't really need to have somebody to get your photo taken, because all you want to do, you want to start your business. So what will happen if you're looking for a professional photographer and go through this photo shoot and everything, then you're going to waste time, because it depends on, when they have time available. And with the lockdown, it's even more tricky, it's trickier now actually. So all these things, they will take your focus away from the actual strategy. And that's what I've learned. I really don't know why we did all these things, because the course I did, maybe we were told that this is how you need to do. And I just now think about it, and I think how naive and how silly I was. I just thought that to do it, this is like a ritual that I have to go through in order to get my first property. But not really. When I look back, a motivated landlord, a needy landlord, or any agency who's keen to work with you, they don't really think about these things. All you need is just a nice picture. You can either do it by selfie, by yourself. There are so many apps available, or get someone in your friend circle, in your family, and get your nice picture taken, and that's good enough. Because at the end of the day, it's the business that you want to make a start. You don't really want to put too much energy, plus you don't want to spend money on different things where you don't really need to initially, because that you're working on a very tight budget. So that's third mistake. Now, fourth mistake that I very often see, and I myself did that as well, when people want to start out in the property business or in the property journey, they just go and they try and do these property courses. Now when they do property courses, which I am guilty of it as well, and this is the reason why I'm saying that, we look out for courses which claim to teach all the strategies, and this is exactly what I did. I went to a 12-month course, and they claim to teach all 7 or 8 strategies, different property strategies. And because I learned so many, well, I became jack of all trades. I think that's what they say, jack of all trades but master of none. But because I paid to learn all those strategies, I paid really hefty amount to get trained, because it was like a highly profiled, a training course that I did. But when I came out after 12 months, I felt that I had all the basic and very shallow knowledge of everything, but I wasn't really perfect in anything. And that was the reason when I started my rent-to-rent business, I ended up doing mistakes. So my advice would be wiser than what I was. This will be advice to myself as well. If I was, if I could give myself that advice, that's what I would say, that rather than spending money to do a course which is claiming to teach every single strategy where you will become master of none but jack of all trades, and that's what you don't want, you should rather spend money on a course and become perfect in one strategy only. So once you've decided, okay, this is what I want to learn. For example, if I want to learn about rent to rent, then and the reason I want to learn rent to rent, because I have got limited resources and I want to create cash flow. So you are very, very clear on that. So because you are very, very clear on that, then be wise, because I ended up doing this mistake. I spent nearly 15,000 pounds, silly amount, to do my course. So what I would suggest, that hi Divya, thank you for joining. So rather than doing course which is claiming and teaching you everything, because your brain cannot possibly absorb everything, start with one strategy. For example, in this case, if you've decided that your strategy is going to be rent to rent, then go out and look for someone who can make you perfect in that, who can make you really, really good in that strategy. And then once you've learned this, and once you've nailed it really properly, then you will automatically, you're going to come across people, you will come across situations, where you will end up doing other things as well. And exactly this is what happened. I did that course, for 12 months, but I started just with rent to rent with very, very basic knowledge, and I still ended up learning while I was doing, because I really wasn't master of it, so that's the reason I did a lot of costly mistakes. But then once I learned my strategy really well, and I started connecting with people, or I just automatically, I came in contact with landlords, I came in contact with different agencies, I came in contact with people who wanted to sell properties. So automatically what happened, I started learned about sourcing properties. I did my own lease option deals as well. Then I had SA units, and then I started even buying properties myself, so, and I started building my own portfolio, and that's what I'm doing. I've converted a couple of properties as well. So these things happen automatically. So don't burden yourself, and don't think that by you paying for a course that claims to teach you everything, which is not really their fault. We just need to be a little bit wiser. And please learn if you can from me, because I did a mistake. You rather learn one particular strategy, become really, really good at it, and then you can automatically, it's just a natural progression. And this is how it has happened, to me as well. So this is how it will happen to you as well. So if you are someone who's still sitting on the fence and thinking about, okay, I want to learn, I want to get into property, I know I want to do rent to rent. So should I just learn about rent to rent? Should I go and learn about rent to rent? Or should I do this course, which is claiming to make me perfect in everything, which obviously is not going to happen, because you can't possibly do everything in that 12 months time. And I also feel that, in order for you to become perfect in everything, you really need to do them as well yourself. So only invest on one course, learn that strategy really, really well, become perfect in that strategy, and then that doesn't mean that you're going to stay on that strategy for rest of your life, because obviously I didn't do that. After 12 months I started doing other things as well. So this is a very big mistake I did naively. So if you are someone who's thinking and rent to rent is your strategy, then you should really be learning that strategy, nail it really, really well. And in that way, you're going to come across when you will come across landlords or agents, and you will be so knowledgeable that your knowledge will impress them. It's not your website, and it's not your professional picture or your card that you will hand out to them. It's actually the way you will it will show in your body language, because you will have that knowledge. And they will feel confident actually passing their property on to you or giving their property to you. So I think that's more important than anything else. That's my advice number 4. Now, another mistake that I did, or I find very often people do actually, and that is, when you do these courses, they say, to get your rent-to-rent deal, start sending out letters, get HMO list, and you need to write out to these landlords, and I did that mistake as well. Now, people think, I don't know why. Now I look back and I think, why do we think that it is a cheap way of getting property? Why do we think that? Because if you think about it, on each letter you're hiring a company. There is a company, for example, there's a company called Stamp. I'm sure many people must have heard. You hire a company, you give them this job, you're delegating this job to them, so they're charging their fee. Then per letter you're paying for the stamp, you're paying for the envelope, you're paying for the ink, you're paying for paper and everything. So every single letter is costing you at least £1. And if you're sending out, you have this campaign where you're sending out 300 letters, so you are spending nearly £300 to £400 per batch you are sending out. And I even sometimes see, people might find it controversial, but I sometimes see people show off on social media. They put pictures of the bundle of envelopes that they have written out with all the addresses that I'm sending and posting these letters out, and I'm going to find my property first, rent-to-rent property. And I look back and I think, I wish I had known, because all you are doing, you're sending out these letters. It's like you're cold calling these people who may never even need your service, because their property may already be let, so out of so many landlords, only very few landlords will need our service. And for that reason, we are sending our letters out to everybody, and then we are waiting for a month or couple of months, and then we are hoping that somebody will ring up and they will say, oh yes, I want to work with you. But think about it. Once you have built that momentum, once you've learned that strategy, all you want is that property, and this never really worked with me. And I wish somebody had told me about this, because this is how everybody teaches. And this definitely doesn't, I would not say this is the most effective way of finding your first deal. 100%. This is how I feel, because even if after a month or couple of months, you're going to get couple of responses back, but don't forget, you still have to haggle the rent with the landlord anyway, those two people, it doesn't mean that they're going to give you property straight away. You will still go through that, long-winded process of negotiation, viewing, and doing your numbers and everything. So you're just making your life so difficult. You are making the whole process so much longer, where it doesn't need to be that. You rather just contact, or you rather target those people who actually are actively seeking for people like us, so rather than us sending out letters to everybody, we should just be very focused, and we should just be looking for motivated landlords or motivated agents, letting agencies who are happy to work with us. So that's another mistake that I did, and I wasted time, because it took me at least, when I was actively started looking, it took me at least 5.5 or 6 months to get my first deal. And what a waste, you know. I could have started my journey much earlier. So guys, if you are someone, please think before you do it. I mean, I hope logically it's making sense to you. I'm not saying it's wrong, but when I look back, and because I've walked the walk, I definitely would not say, definitely would not recommend. I 100% do not recommend any of mentees to start sending letters out. You know, you can ask any of, and some of them are actually watching me at the moment live, and this is true. You know, this strategy is not the most effective strategy. So please don't think it's the cheapest way of finding because you're only sending one letter, but think about the bigger picture. You're sending out letters, you're spending 400-500 pounds, then you're waiting, then you're spending another 400-500 pounds, and you know, and then you're wasting your time, you're waiting, so your time is precious as well, plus you're losing your momentum as well. So think about those things. I wish somebody had told me about these things, and I would have been much faster in starting my strategy. You know, I never applied my common sense. So when I look back, I definitely say, you know, guys, if you can avoid, and that is the reason it took me 6 months, but my mentees, I proudly say, they get their deals. Some of them have actually got their deals within a week, within 10 days, within a month, and a couple of my mentees, they've got 2 rent-to-rent properties within a month and a half, you know. One of my mentees got 5 properties. So, you know, they are doing, and it makes me feel extremely proud because I'm giving them all the practical tips. I'm telling them exactly what works. Don't waste your time, and don't waste your energy, and definitely do not waste your money where you don't need to, because there is a reason why you're going into this rent-to-rent strategy. You're going into this rent-to-rent strategy because you have limited resources, you have aimed to create this cash flow, and your end goal is that you want to start buying properties. You know, you all want to, and I know this is what, I mean, this was actually my reason as well why I got into rent to rent, because, you know, I thought this was my way to, you know, start my journey into property. Hi Seth, thank you for joining. Hi Simon. Yeah, so definitely that's one thing, you know. If I could give advice to someone, definitely I would say, if you want to learn and get some practical advice, I know not everybody will agree with me, but I sometimes now look back and I think people who are teaching, do they really think that have they done this strategy themselves? Why everybody says religiously that, guys, you need to do this, you need to do that, as if like there is no other way, you know, that you have to send out letters to everybody, you have to get a list, and then you have to send it to everybody. And it's funny, I was just speaking to one of my friends, and he is not into properties, and I was just saying, and he said, oh, and he was asking me, what do I do, you know, at the moment, because we met after a long time, and he lives in London. So I said, this is what I'm doing, it's a rent-to-rent strategy, and I was explaining. He said, all right, okay, I do receive a lot of letters, you know, at home, because he's got a big property, and he says, I just put them straight, they go in the bin. And I felt a little bit embarrassed, you know, because this is how it is, you know, when people do not know you, why would they give you their property, you know? And I felt really, and I thought, oh my God, he actually said to me, he said, you know what, in a month I get about 5 letters, every month I get around 5 letters, and what I do, I just simply, either I just rip them and I put them in the bin, you know, because why people send these letters? So is that what you do? You do rent-to-rent strategy. Now I understand what they're trying to do, but it was very embarrassing. Thank you, Ray. Thanks. I'm really glad that you're agreeing with me. Thank you. Right. Now, last advice I want to say, I mean, again, it's a controversial one, but I'm only telling you what my experience has been, you know. Another thing, very popular quote on the social media, people always say, oh, your network is your net worth, right? This thing you hear a lot from people. Yeah, Ray, you're right. You would like to work more efficiently. I totally agree with you. Hi, B. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so another thing I would like to say is your network is your net worth. Everybody says that, oh, you need to network, you need to network because you want to start your end-to-end journey. Now, if you logically think about it, it just doesn't add up to me. It just does not make sense. I mean, initially because I had a job and I wanted to start my rent to rent journey, and because I wanted to start my rent to rent journey, I had heard from the course that I was doing that I needed to network with people. But if you think about it, when you go and meet people and you go to these networking events, you are looking for property. Yeah, right, Ray, you're right, actually. Yeah, you are going and you're looking for property, and there are other people like yourself, and they are also looking for property. So, how can we both help each other? How can a person who's also looking for property and I'm also looking, how can those two people help each other? And you will never see landlord coming to those networks. So, ideally, as a person who's looking to do rent to rent, you really need landlords. You want to meet landlords there so they can hand over their property to you. And how often do you see these landlords in these networking events? So logically, it just doesn't make sense, and I stopped going. For a very long time, I felt guilty. I thought, am I missing out on something? But I obviously didn't miss out, because once I started my journey, it just took off. And once it took off, every month I'm picking new property up, and I really, really got busy. But I don't know why and where they get it from. Okay, depends. It all depends on what type of strategy you are doing. Please don't just follow everybody just because they are saying that your network is your net worth. Okay, it could be for people who are looking maybe for, investment, or they're looking for JV partner. It could help for them. And even then I would be very, I wouldn't just go to a network and I will start, I always say, when you are starting, because there's going to be, you are dealing with money, and you need to really have good understanding with that person before you're starting out with anybody in a JV. It's like, in a way, you're marrying that person, and it's not that easy, because I've worked in JVs in the past, and I know how difficult it is, because eventually people will, and it's nobody's fault. People will have different goals, and people will have different point of view. So if you're just meeting people in networking event, and you then all of a sudden you want to you want to start business, so be careful, because it's like you are getting involved in someone and you're committing, you are making that financial commitment with someone where you're going to do things. So how much do you know about that person? Anyway, that's a different topic. But what I'm talking about is when people are wanting, they're wanting to do their rent to rent. I really don't know how networking event helps, so that's another thing. If you think you have time, limited time, you've got a main source of income, so you have daytime job and evening you're networking. So when are you searching, and when are you actually working to set up your business? So initially I felt guilty, but honestly I can't stop laughing, because if you are someone who's looking to start, so rather do right things, and think logically that, do I really need to network? Okay, learn. There is so much available on social media. Property groups, there is a lot of knowledge out there. There are a lot of videos out there. You rather listen to them if you're really looking for some free education. But I really don't know that how networking, especially when you're trying to do your rent-to-rent business, is going to help you, So these are 6 things I wanted to talk about today. And thank you so much for giving me company. So yeah, so number 1 is, don't overspend, don't go over the top about, which I did. I spent £1,000 just. Hi Hi Ashley, thank you for coming on board. So, doing my website, which I've never used. I'm building another one. So what a waste, I wasted my money. Then I spent so much time, so much energy perfecting my logo, paid someone. Why did I do that? Honestly, I want to laugh at myself. Silly things that I did. Getting professional photos taken, get your nice picture taken and start your business because you want to start your rent to rent. Another thing, when you're doing property course, if your aim is you want to start rent to rent, start with someone who can actually make you perfect. Come to me if you want to learn from me, all the practical knowledge. I'll teach you exactly what works and what doesn't work, So feel free to reach out to me. I'll teach you. I'll make you, I'll tell you exactly what has worked and what hasn't worked. So if you want to learn from my mistakes, feel free to reach out. But definitely, once you've decided a strategy, concentrate on that strategy and just pay to learn that particular strategy. You become master of that rather than becoming jack of all trades and master of none, because you're going to come out and you will still think, oh, where do I start from? What do I do? And, that's been my experience. I find 90% of people I'm working with, they have been on courses and this is what they lacked, and we've all done mistake, or not just them. I've done that mistake myself as well. So, we all do that. So if I can save you from wasting so much money by doing these courses, which teach you everything, you don't really need to learn everything in one go. Allow yourself some time. Thank you, Divya. Thank you for your love heart as well. Thank you. Again, don't send out, please don't send out letters, because unless you have a lot of time, and don't think that it's a cheap way of getting property. It's definitely not. Think about it, think about all the letters. It's going to cost you money. Nothing is cheap, nothing is free. There is, put your energy in something that's going to take you closer to your goal, more than anything else. If you are sending out letters, then you're going to wait for months and you will end up losing your momentum. You don't really want to do that. Once you made up your mind, start your journey. I've done these mistakes. Please learn from them. If you want to, unless you want to try out, that's totally up to you. Like I said, these are my viewpoints, these are my mistakes, and I'm just sharing it here with everybody. And another thing, networking events, join them, but think logically. Why am I joining it? What's my benefit? I know it's nice to socialize, there's nothing wrong with it, but you need to be practical, because if you have really made that goal because you want to start your journey and you want to leave that socializing to another time, or you really focus, then get on with it. Don't networking event, I don't personally, I didn't find them very effective. Plus I find that people keep their cards very close to their chest. They don't really tell you exactly what's going through, what's happening. And there is plenty of knowledge out there on social media or in different property groups. All the knowledge is there. You don't have to waste a couple of hours just doing and listening. It's totally up to you, but these are just some mistakes that I did. Okay, so thank you so much all for your company, and I'll speak to you in my live video again on Wednesday next week. Yeah, take care then. Thank you everybody. Thank you for giving me company and spending your precious time with me today. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.